In the next few minutes, I'm going to expose 8 Canadian sugar brands hiding extra ingredients behind their sweet promises, plus reveal the 5 brands that actually deliver pure, single-ingredient sugar. What you're about to discover might completely change how you bake, sweeten your coffee, and stock your pantry. Stay until the end, because the #1 safest choice will transform your grocery shopping forever. Let's start with what's sitting in your cupboard right now. 8. Wholesome Sweeteners Organic Icing. Sugar starting at number 8. Wholesome Sweeteners wraps itself in organic certification and health-conscious branding. But look closer at what you're actually buying. The ingredients list clearly states organic sugar plus organic tapioca starch, meaning you're getting a blended product rather than single-ingredient sweetness. While tapioca starch prevents clumping in icing sugar, here's what matters for older adults managing blood sugar or following specific dietary protocols. You're not getting what the word sugar implies. When your doctor tells you to monitor sugar intake, or when you're calculating carbohydrates for diabetic meal planning, this blended product complicates accurate measurement. The organic label creates a health halo that distracts from the fundamental reality that this isn't pure sugar. For those of us who grew up when sugar meant one ingredient from one source, this represents the modern trend of adding fillers even to basic pantry staples. 7. Bulk Barn Icing. Sugar. At number 7, Bulk Barn's icing sugar exemplifies how bulk retail can hide ingredient complexity behind convenience and value pricing. Walk up to those bins with your scoop, fill your bag, and you're bringing home sugar blended with cornstarch. Not the pure sweetener you might assume. The ingredient statement lists both sugar and cornstarch clearly, making this a multi-ingredient product. For many of us who remember when Bulk Barn meant simple, honest bulk ingredients, this represents a departure from that straightforward approach. The cornstarch addition introduces corn into your baking when you're expecting only cane or beet sugar. This matters particularly if you're managing sensitivities or simply wanting to know exactly what you're consuming. Private label packaging may vary across locations, meaning the exact formulation might shift depending on which Bulk Barn you visit. For older adults who rely on consistent products for recipes perfected over years, this variability introduces unpredictability into your kitchen. 6. Domino Confectioners. Sugar coming in at number 6, Domino brings American sugar production into Canadian markets with confectioner's sugar that's anything but pure. The ingredient listing states cane sugar and cornstarch explicitly, confirming this as a blended product. Domino markets itself as a premium baking brand with heritage and reliability, which makes the cornstarch addition feel like a betrayal of that traditional baking trust. The confectioner's format gets marketed for specific uses, like frosting and dusting, but many home bakers use whatever sugar they have on hand without realizing the formula differences. This matters enormously when you're following classic recipes that assume pure sugar, not sugar starch blends. The cornstarch affects moisture absorption and how quickly frosting sets in ways that throw off recipes designed for pure sugar. For older adults with corn, sensitivities or those avoiding specific ingredients for digestive comfort, the cornstarch hides in plain sight under the broad term confectioner's sugar. 5. Chi Natural Organic Icing Sugar. At number 5, Chi Natural wraps ingredient complexity in organic and natural branding that obscures what you're actually buying. This private label product lists organic sugar plus organic tapioca starch, making it another blended product hiding behind health-conscious marketing. The natural and organic labels create powerful associations with purity and simplicity, yet the ingredient list reveals a 2-component blend. For health-conscious older adults who've learned to read labels carefully and choose organic when possible, this product presents a particular disappointment. You're paying premium organic pricing for a product that isn't pure sugar, regardless of certification. The tapioca starch, while organic, represents an added ingredient that wasn't necessary in traditional sugar. Production. Private label brands often source from various suppliers, meaning quality and exact formulations can vary between production runs, even when the label looks identical. 4. Newton's No Gluten Icing. Sugar approaching our most problematic products. Newton's No Gluten Icing Sugar at number 4 uses allergen-free marketing to distract from ingredient reality. The ingredient statement lists icing, sugar, and cornstarch, confirming another multi-ingredient blend. The no gluten label targets consumers with celiac disease or gluten sensitivity, creating a health halo around what remains a blended product. Pure sugar is naturally gluten-free anyway, making the prominent labeling feel misleading. The cornstarch addition matters particularly for those avoiding corn or tracking multiple sensitivities, yet the focus on gluten-free status pulls attention away from the corn component. When you're living with digestive sensitivities that have developed or intensified with age, discovering cornstarch in your gluten-free sugar represents exactly the hidden complexity that makes shopping exhausting. 3. Redpath Icing Sugar. At number 3, Redpath breaks Canadian hearts because this brand carries genuine national heritage and family trust built over generations. Many of us grew up with Redpath sugar in our parents' kitchens, seeing that familiar label at grandparents' houses, associating the brand with Canadian reliability and straightforward quality. That's what makes the ingredient list on their icing sugar particularly disappointing. The label clearly states cornstarch in addition to sugar, confirming this as a blended product rather than the pure sweetness Redpath's reputation suggests. For older Canadians who've bought Redpath for decades based on that established trust, discovering the icing sugar formula includes cornstarch feels like a fundamental shift in what the brand represents. This matters enormously when you're following recipes from earlier decades. When Redpath icing sugar meant pure powdered sugar, nothing added. Your mother's buttercream frosting recipe assumes pure sugar, and substituting modern Redpath icing sugar with its cornstarch content subtly alters texture and final results. The Redpath name carries such weight in Canadian kitchens that many people never read the ingredient label, assuming brand heritage guarantees ingredient simplicity. 2. Vercasegrain icing. Sugar coming in at number 2, Vercasegrain represents imported products entering Canadian markets with ingredient formulations that don't match traditional expectations. The ingredient list includes cornstarch in addition to cane sugar, making this another blended product marketed under the broad category of icing sugar. The Sugrain brand might be unfamiliar to lifelong Canadians who grew up with domestic sugar brands, representing the modern reality of international products on our shelves. For older shoppers managing tight grocery budgets who might choose Vercasegrain based on lower pricing, the ingredient complexity isn't immediately obvious from the label presentation. The cane sugar base suggests quality, but the cornstarch addition means you're getting a blend regardless of the sugar source quality. Many older adults use icing sugar for simple purposes like sweetening tea when regular sugar runs out, inadvertently introducing cornstarch into their beverages. For those managing digestive sensitivities that have developed with age, cornstarch can trigger discomfort even in small amounts. 1. Lantic Icing Sugar. Taking the number 1 spot as the most disappointing sugar product, Lantic Icing Sugar breaks Canadian trust most completely because Lantic stands alongside Redpath as a foundational Canadian sugar brand. For generations, Lantic has filled sugar bowls across the country, appearing in countless childhood memories of baking with mothers and grandmothers, representing reliable Canadian production and straightforward quality. That deep heritage makes the ingredient list on Lantic Icing Sugar particularly troubling. The label clearly states cornstarch in addition to sugar, confirming yet another blended product when the Lantic name suggests pure, traditional ingredients. The product is listed as prepared in Canada, which matters to those of us who prioritize buying Canadian when possible, but preparation location doesn't change the fundamental ingredient reality. For older Canadians who've remained loyal to Lantic through decades of grocery shopping based on family tradition and proven reliability, discovering cornstarch in the icing sugar formula feels like a violation of that long relationship. The Lantic brand carries such emotional weight that many shoppers never question what they're buying, assuming heritage guarantees purity. This matters enormously when you're following treasured recipes passed down through generations, recipes that assume Lantic meant pure sugar without qualification. 4. Diabetics managing blood sugar carefully, or anyone tracking carbohydrate intake for health reasons. The cornstarch addition complicates calculations that should be simple with pure sugar. Here's the relief you've been waiting for. Not every sugar on Canadian shelves has been complicated with additives and starches. These 5 brands prove that pure, single-ingredient sugar still exists, delivering exactly what the word sugar should mean. Nothing added, nothing diluted, just straightforward sweetness from one source. 5. Rogers Granulated White Sugar. Starting our safe list at number 5, Rogers delivers exactly what sugar should be. One ingredient from one source with nothing added. The product description confirms it's made from natural cane sugar, period. No starches, no additives, no hidden complexity, just pure, granulated sweetness. For Canadians who remember when all sugar meant single-ingredient purity, Rogers maintains that traditional standard in their granulated white sugar line. The retail listing describes the product as refined in Canada, which matters to those of us who prioritize buying domestically produced ingredients whenever possible. Rogers understands that granulated sugar serves as a fundamental building block in Canadian kitchens, from morning coffee sweetening to serious baking projects, and shouldn't require ingredient detective work. The natural cane sugar source provides consistent sweetness and reliable performance across all culinary uses. For older adults managing specific dietary needs, the single-ingredient formula makes nutritional calculations straightforward and eliminates concerns about hidden additives or unexpected components. 4. Redpath Special Fine Granulated Sugar. At number 4, Redpath redeems its brand reputation with special fine granulated sugar that delivers pure single-ingredient excellence. The brand product page states clearly it's made from 100% pure sugarcane, and the retail ingredient statement confirms what that means. Sugar as the sole ingredient, nothing else. This represents Redpath honoring its heritage of Canadian trust and traditional quality, providing exactly what generations of Canadian bakers expect from this familiar name. For older shoppers who felt betrayed by the cornstarch in Redpath's icing sugar, this granulated version restores confidence that the brand still understands pure ingredient integrity. The special fine granulation provides versatility for both beverage sweetening and baking applications, dissolving quickly while maintaining the structure needed for recipes requiring creaming or caramelization. For those managing diabetes or prediabetes, the single-ingredient formula eliminates confusion and allows accurate carbohydrate counting essential for blood sugar management. When your doctor discusses sugar intake, this straightforward product makes those conversations clear and actionable without hidden complications. 3. Lantic Fine. White granulated sugar claiming number 3. Lantic Fine. White granulated sugar proves this trusted Canadian brand still produces pure sugar when they prioritize traditional formulations. The brand page states explicitly that this sugar is all natural and never bleached, addressing concerns about processing while confirming single-ingredient purity. The product derives from cane or beet plants, a transparency about sourcing that helps consumers understand exactly where their sweetness originates. For Canadians disappointed by the cornstarch in Lantic's icing sugar, this granulated version demonstrates the brand still understands that core pantry staples should mean one ingredient without qualification. The fine white granulation provides ideal texture for everything from sweetening morning oatmeal to creating celebration layer cakes. The never bleached statement matters to health-conscious older adults who've learned to question processing methods and prefer minimal intervention between field and table. For those managing specific health conditions requiring careful dietary monitoring, the single-ingredient nature makes this product reliable and predictable in ways that blended sugars never achieve. 2. PC Organics, organic sugar from cane syrup. At number 2, PC Organics delivers both organic certification and ingredient purity in one reliable product. The ingredient statement lists simply organic sugar, confirming single-ingredient composition while meeting rigorous organic production standards. This private label brand from Loblaw Companies means the product is widely available across major Canadian grocery banners, from Loblaw's to Real Canadian Superstore, providing accessibility that specialty organic brands sometimes lack. For older Canadians who prioritize organic whenever budget allows but struggle to find products at convenient locations, PC Organics bridges that gap between health-conscious choice and practical shopping reality. The organic certification guarantees production without synthetic pesticides, herbicides, or genetic modification, addressing concerns that accumulate as we age and become more conscious of cumulative chemical exposure over lifetimes. For those managing health conditions that make organic eating feel less like preference and more like necessity, this accessible organic option makes consistent choices possible without requiring specialty store trips or premium pricing that strains fixed incomes. 1. Camino Golden Cane. Sugar taking the #1 spot as the absolute best sugar choice for Canadian consumers. Camino Golden Cane sugar represents everything pure sugar should be, while adding ethical dimensions that matter increasingly as we age and consider our food choices' broader impacts. The ingredient statement lists simply golden cane sugar, confirming single-ingredient purity without any additions or modifications. What elevates Camino above other pure sugars is the Fair Trade certification and certified organic status, guaranteeing not just ingredient purity, but ethical sourcing that supports farming communities rather than exploiting them. For older adults who remember when buying choices felt less complicated, but also less transparent, Camino offers both old-fashioned ingredient simplicity and modern ethical accountability. The golden cane sugar provides slightly less processing than white sugar, retaining trace minerals and subtle molasses, notes that add complexity to baking without overwhelming delicate flavors. The organic certification ensures production without synthetic chemicals, addressing health concerns, while the fair trade status addresses social conscience, making this purchase feel good in multiple dimensions. The Fair Trade certification particularly resonates with older Canadians who've watched global inequality grow over decades and want purchasing power to support positive change. This is sugar that honors both your body and broader human dignity, proving that pure ingredients and ethical practices can coexist in accessible products available at health food stores and progressive grocery retailers across Canada. There you have it, 8 sugar brands hiding starches and additives behind trusted names and familiar labels, plus 5 that deliver pure, single-ingredient sugar that honors both tradition and transparency. Before your next grocery run, remember this. Read ingredient lists even on products you've bought for decades. Choose granulated over icing when you want guaranteed purity, and never assume packaging familiarity means ingredient consistency. Your sweetness deserves to be simple, pure, and honest.